Guns domain.
Breaking news. Donald Trump says the United States has carried out...
President Trump described the attack as very successful, claiming the U.S. dropped a full payload of cluster bombs on Fordo, one of Iran's most heavily fortified sites.
For decades, the United States and Iran have been locked in a shadow conflict, one defined by a complex web of sanctions, covert operations, and repeated warnings about nuclear ambition. The tension between the two nations has ebbed and flowed, shaped by regime changes, shifting alliances in the Middle East, and the relentless pursuit of strategic advantage. Each side has employed a mixture of diplomacy and military posturing, testing the limits of international law while carefully calibrating actions to avoid open war. Before we continue, if you're really interested in these topics, make sure to like and subscribe. It helps us grow and lets us bring you more great stories, reviews, and hunting insights. But rarely has this long-standing standoff escalated into direct military action of the kind witnessed in the early hours of the 21st of June 2025. In the pre-dawn hours of that day, the United States executed a meticulously planned operation aimed at 3 of Iran's most sensitive nuclear facilities: Fordo, Natanz, and a site near Isfahan. These facilities, long suspected of housing advanced uranium enrichment operations, were thought to be well protected against aerial bombardment, buried deep underground, and fortified to withstand conventional munitions. For Washington, however, the decision to strike was framed as both necessary and urgent, a calculated move designed to degrade Iran's nuclear capabilities, while sending a clear message to the international community. The United States would not tolerate the unchecked expansion of nuclear weapons programs. The operation began with B-2 stealth bombers, the crown jewel of the U.S. Air Force's strategic arsenal, slipping undetected into Iranian airspace under the cover of night. These aircraft, designed for long-range precision strikes, carried some of the heaviest conventional bombs in the American inventory, the Massive Ordnance Penetrator, or MOP. Weighing approximately 30,000 pounds, these bunker-buster bombs are engineered to penetrate meters of reinforced concrete and dense layers of earth before detonating. They were specifically designed to target subterranean facilities that conventional munitions could not reach, making them the weapon of choice for an operation aimed at crippling Iran's deeply buried nuclear infrastructure. Simultaneously, U.S. naval forces in the Persian Gulf and surrounding waters launched Tomahawk cruise missiles toward key secondary targets. These missiles, capable of flying hundreds of miles with extreme precision, were aimed at additional components of Iran's nuclear program, intended to disrupt command centers, storage facilities, and the less fortified elements of the enrichment network. The synchronized use of air and naval assets underscored the strategic complexity of the operation, reflecting months of intelligence gathering, simulations, and contingency planning. Every detail, from flight paths to timing, ordnance selection to weather conditions, was carefully calculated to maximize impact while minimizing civilian casualties. President Donald Trump, addressing the nation in the aftermath of the operation, described the strikes as very successful, claiming that the U.S. had delivered a full payload to Fordo, one of the most heavily fortified and secretive of the Iranian sites. His announcement, broadcast across multiple news networks, was framed as both a triumph of American military capability and a decisive assertion of U.S. authority on the global stage. Yet, as with many high-profile military actions, the public narrative offered a dramatic but simplified account of events, one that masked the uncertainties and challenges underlying such operations. In the days that followed, intelligence assessments painted a more nuanced picture. Analysts indicated that, while the strikes had inflicted significant damage, key elements of Iran's nuclear program may have survived. Some facilities had been reinforced or moved in advance of the attack, and certain critical materials may have been relocated, reducing the long-term impact of the operation. Administration statements about obliterating the program were thus tempered by the careful evaluations of military and intelligence experts, who stressed that the full consequences of the strikes could not yet be determined. The strike on Iran's nuclear sites was not only a military action, but also a geopolitical signal. It demonstrated Washington's willingness to act unilaterally when it deemed vital national interests at risk. For Iran, the attacks were a stark reminder of its vulnerability, despite extensive defensive measures and decades of nuclear development. For the global community, the operation sparked intense debate over the legality and prudence of preemptive strikes, the risks of escalation in an already volatile region, and the broader implications for nuclear non-proliferation efforts. Iranian officials, responding publicly in the days following the strikes, claimed that the damage had been limited and that the nuclear program remained operational. They emphasized that the country would not be intimidated and that retaliatory measures could be expected, though they did not specify the form such responses might take. These statements reflected both a desire to project strength domestically and to caution the international community against escalating tensions further. Analysts noted that Tehran's response strategy was likely to involve a mix of military signaling, diplomatic maneuvering, and continued development of its nuclear infrastructure, all while avoiding a direct confrontation that could invite further retaliation. The technical aspects of the strike itself illustrate the evolution of modern military capability. The use of the B-2 stealth bomber, a platform capable of penetrating advanced air defenses and delivering precision munitions, underscored the United States' reliance on high-tech, long-range strike capabilities. The Massive Ordnance Penetrator, with its enormous weight and specialized design, demonstrated the military's ability to engage hardened, subterranean targets that would have been unreachable even a decade ago. Tomahawk cruise missiles, launched from naval vessels positioned far from the targets, added a layer of redundancy and precision to the operation, ensuring that multiple components of the nuclear program could be simultaneously targeted. Together, these elements reflect a calculated approach to warfare that blends advanced technology, intelligence, and strategic planning in unprecedented ways. The world watched closely, acutely aware that any miscalculation could escalate tensions further, with far-reaching consequences for regional stability and global security. The operation also prompted reflection on the broader historical context of U.S.-Iran relations. From 1979 revolutions and the hostage crisis to decades of sanctions and proxy conflicts, the relationship has been characterized by cycles of confrontation and cautious engagement. Each episode, from minor provocations to major strategic initiatives, has shaped perceptions and policy approaches, creating a legacy of mistrust and calculated responses. The 2025 strikes, while significant, are part of this continuum, a stark reminder of how historical grievances and strategic imperatives intersect in the theater of modern geopolitics. As the dust settled and the immediate military objectives were assessed, analysts and observers turned their attention to the questions that remain. How will Iran rebuild and adapt its nuclear program? What message does this strike send to other nations with nuclear ambitions? How will regional powers adjust their strategies in response to a demonstration of American military capability? These questions underscore the long-term implications of the operation, highlighting that military action, while dramatic, is only one piece of a complex puzzle involving diplomacy, intelligence, economics, and regional politics. For educators, policymakers, and the public. The lessons of this operation are multifaceted. They illustrate the importance of accurate intelligence, the challenges of targeting hardened underground facilities, and the unpredictable nature of international responses. They reveal how military power intersects with global perception and the critical role of communication in shaping narratives, both domestically and internationally. And they serve as a reminder that in an interconnected world, the consequences of a single decision can ripple across continents, affecting markets, alliances, and the balance of power in profound and lasting ways. The situation remains fluid. Iran's long-term strategic calculations, the responses of neighboring states, and the ongoing monitoring by international agencies will continue to shape the geopolitical landscape. One certainty stands out. The 2025 strikes on Iranian nuclear sites mark a defining moment in U.S.-Iran relations, a moment that will influence policy, perception, and security for years to come. In the end, the strikes illustrate a critical truth of modern conflict. The line between deterrence and aggression is thin. The stakes are high, and the outcomes are often uncertain. As the world watches and waits, one question resonates more strongly than any other: what happens next? And while history may judge the immediate tactical successes, it will ultimately be the strategic consequences, political, economic, and diplomatic, that define the legacy of this bold and unprecedented action.